A serious story. A mosque in Mandya turned into a staging ground for stone pelters hell-bent upon disturbing the peace. No sooner did a procession carrying the idol of Lord Ganpati pass the mosque, a hail of stones were pelted on the devotees. The unprovoked incident, at least that's what we are being told, it's an allegedly unprovoked incident, led to fiery clashes in the town, and the Karnataka government has had to react urgently. Dozens have been arrested. The local police boss has been transferred, and as a precaution, some exams, very consequential ones, have been postponed. Viewers, devotees were headed for idol immersion, as it happens in Mandya. Stones were pelted at this procession, reportedly from a nearby mosque, which has now, of course, been confirmed. The procession was stopped at a police station demanding justice. They all said, look, we can't have this. Clashes erupted after the stone pelting because the police response was not, according to some reports, up to the mark. So frustrated devotees then decided to take matters into their own hands. There was a lathi charge. Shops were set on fire. Vehicles were torched. Very condemnable, all of this, viewers. 3 policemen were also injured. Then Section 144 is imposed. But when asked whether the violence was pre-planned, the state's Home Minister, Mr. G. Parameshwar, said a probe has been ordered and once the report comes, things will be known. But he also controversially implied that the reason for the attack on the procession was not communal in nature. He said, and I quote, what happened in Nagamangala, a town, is not an incident of communal clash. It is an incident which took place accidentally. So basically, viewers, stones that were lying in the masjid started popping out one by one on their own and fell on these poor processionists. He went on to add the stone pelting incident took place during the procession for Ganesh idol immersion. 2 groups clashed with each other. During the clash, bikes and shops were torched. Someone pelted stones when Ganesh Visarjan procession was taking place. In turn, another group also pelted stones. There is no loss of life in the incident. Presently, additional police are deputed to the spot. The police have arrested 52 persons in connection with the incident. An ASI has also been injured in the violence. No one should pursue politics in this, unquote. But when you go out there and suggest that this is not a communal attack born out of hate, etc., then, sir, you're politicizing it with all due respect. Though the minister lashed out at his adversaries for twisting his words out of proportion to paint the Congress into a corner, for this isn't the first time, viewers, let me also tell you this, that whatever Mr. Parameshwar said, this isn't the first time that a puja procession has been attacked in the recent past. Ganesh Chaturthi procession in Ratlam in Madhya Pradesh on the 7th of September this year, a procession that was carrying an idol of Lord Ganesha was pelted stones at in the Mochipura area of Ratlam. The police vehicle was also damaged in the incident and heavy security was deployed. Then there was a Durga idol immersion procession in Chhapra, Bihar. This was last year in October. And that also, viewers, was an attack when the procession was passing through a minority-dominated area. At least 6 people were injured. Shri Ram Shobha Yatra in Darbhanga, Bihar. A Muslim mob pelted stones at the Shri Ram Shobha Yatra on January 22, 2024. That was the day the Ram temple was inaugurated earlier this year. Then just recently, a few days back, once again, a Ganesh Utsav Pandal in Surat was targeted by stone pelting mobs. These incidents prompt us to ask, are there no-go zones for Hindus in certain pockets of our country? And is this acceptable? Let's ask this question. Let me open this up. Abdul Razak, what's going on?
Sir, the entire state, all the nakabandis, the police stations, the checkposts, the outposts, they're totally around 906. Each and every corner of the state celebrated Ganesh Chaturthi in a very, very grand and a peaceful way, except for this place. Rahul, please understand, in a very short time from now, there is a very high profile election that is going to happen. The Chanpatna seat, which is just 70 kilometers away from this. Now the BJP, RSS, JDS together want to make a point, they want to prove a point that they want to consolidate the Hindu votes.
Okay.
For that reason, these kind
so
of
they put the stones in the mosque and those stones like popcorn started popping and they fell on this procession.
Rahulji, don't believe in rumors. It is not written anywhere. Mosque is not a place where we keep arms and ammunition. No stones are kept inside the mosque. This did not come from inside the mosque. These people gathered outside the mosque and they were shouting Jai Shri Ram slogans. The police requested
Jai
them
Shri
for
Ram.
20 minutes not to provoke. Move on, move on. Yes, Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri
Why
Ram
does
slogans were being chanted.
the God comes into their bodies and soul right in front of the masjid.
Okay.
Let them go to any corner and shout.
Okay, Mr. Khan, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Provoking people out there.
Let me ask you a question.
They were requested to move.
Let me ask you a
Move
question.
from there.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, sir. Are you suggesting that Jai Shri Ram is a provocative slogan?
Sir, I am not saying that. What I am
No,
trying
you
to tell you
said
is,
they chanted Jai
when you
Shri
are
Ram,
taking
so
out
they
the
were,
procession,
so people started
please
targeting them. They were
celebrate.
provoking these
Sir,
people.
please celebrate. Nobody in the country will object you.
So viewers,
But standing right in front
if you
of the
chant Jai
masjid,
Shri Ram,
looking at these people,
okay,
beating the drums
okay, very
loudly,
quickly,
dancing there right in front of the masjid.
right? So it's not allowed. You
We have
can't
to
do that,
understand
is
the
it?
intention, Rahul.
You can't do that. You can't take a
We have to
procession
understand
in
their
any
intentions.
minority-dominated area because for some reason, Jai Shri Ram and even perhaps the sight of devotees and an idol becomes a provocation. Is that what you're saying to me, sir? That's what I'm getting.
Purposely, deliberately wanted
No,
to
Rahul.
create
Okay,
a
yes.
scene.
I need to
Yes,
come in
yes,
here.
yes,
They
come in.
succeeded
Ms.
in
Verma
doing
wants
so.
to come in. Okay, let's listen
Thank
to
you.
Ms. Verma and then Dr. Ranganathan. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I did not heckle Mr. Abdul Razak, so I hope he'll extend the courtesy. Very quickly, I just have this to say. Be it the violence during the Shobha Yatra in Nanded and Malegaon in 2021, when Uddhav Thackeray was the chief minister, or be it the Shobha Yatra at Karauli in Rajasthan, when Ashok Gehlot of the Congress was the chief minister, or for that matter, very recently in April 2024, the violence at Ram Navami under the incompetent nose of Mamata Banerjee. What is common? There is one common factor. You can say, Gustakhe Rasool ki ek hi saza sartan se juda, sartan se juda. You can sing slogans about Nara-e-Takbir and Ghazwa-e-Hind. But in a country with 80% Hindu population, if you celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi with gaiety and festivity and pomp and with gay abandon, if you're saying Jai Shri Ram, if you're wearing a sacred kalwa, or you're putting vibhuti on your head, or you're putting your sacred janeyu, तो आपको कहा जाता है you are an Islamophobic bigot. I think it's time for sane Muslims, because I know I have many Muslim friends who are very sane. I want them to understand that the BJP, RSS, VHF, VHP, Bajrang Dal are not anti-Muslims. We are anti-radical Islamists. And I think there is a very thin difference between following your religion and being intolerant of other people's religion.
Okay.
आप कहते हो during Ganesh Chaturthi, why did the people who were celebrating the Ganesh Chaturthi, उनको नाच गाना करने की क्या जरूरत थी? डीजे लाने की क्या जरूरत थी? जोर जोर से जय श्री राम बोलने की क्या जरूरत थी? When you have your Muharram procession, you carry your Muharram procession with knives, with swords, with weapons. तभी हमने आपको कहा है, you should celebrate Muharram like this. You should celebrate Ramzan like this. You should celebrate Eid al-Zuha like this.
Okay.
You should celebrate Eid al-Fitr like this. My last point. This time the Bombay Stock Exchange was closed during Muharram. But Bombay Stock Exchange was not closed during Raksha Bandhan and Ram Navami. Yet we Hindus don't play victim card. You Muslims play victim card. And when I say you Muslims, I mean the radical Islamist variety.
Okay. Okay. Well, we've drawn a distinction, viewers. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
Rahul, many issues have been discussed and two caveats have been thrown in by one of your panelists. One is that Hindus were being provocative, and the second is that this is an absolutely exceptional incident. This doesn't happen. Let me demolish both these arguments one by one. I think it is high time that, Rahul, we talked of real discrimination. So you tell me, is it discrimination against Muslims or against Hindus when hundreds of Ram Navami, not just one, not exception, almost a rule, hundreds of Ram Navami, Hanuman Jayanti, Ganesh Chaturthi, Durga Puja, even Garba celebrations and processions are attacked and stoned with impunity? Is it discrimination against Muslims or against Hindus when Muslims are shouting from mosque they will behead Nupur and all those who oppose Azan and hijab? Or when Muslims are pouring onto the streets demanding beheading of Kajal Hindustani? Or when Muslims are gathering in their thousands for the funeral of terrorist Yaqub Memon? Or when Muslims are rioting in the streets because someone's Facebook post said Aurangzeb was a mass murderer? Is it discrimination against Muslims or against Hindus? When sitting Prime Minister says minorities have the first right to resources? Is it discrimination against Muslims when Kashmiri Hindus are forced to be refugees in their own land? Where one can settle 40,000 Rohingya Muslims but not 7 lakh Kashmiri Hindus, the land's original inhabitants? Where the judiciary says it is too late to prosecute those who raped, murdered, ethnically cleansed lakhs of Hindus? Rahul, is it discrimination against Muslims when Hindu temples are exclusively controlled by the state? When Hindus have to beg for Waqf land to celebrate their festival while government usurps hundreds of thousands of acres of temple land and is responsible for more than 100,000 temples losing lakhs of crores in rental income? And second, stop blaming Hindus by saying they provoked the Muslims by making their religious processions through quote-unquote Muslim areas or pass through near mosques. The essence of Azan, which is, quote, there is no God but Allah and no one has the right to be worshipped but Allah 4062, unquote, amplified through the loudspeaker 5 times a day, whole year round near a temple, is not provocative. But celebrating Ram Navami on Ganesh Chaturthi and singing Bhajban Ramcharan Sukhdai 1 day in a year near a mosque is? Kaisi baatein kar rahe hain?
Viewers, let me also tell you that in Bangladesh recently an order was passed. And the order says that pujas should stop during Azan. Now, are we chapter and verse copying that kind of discrimination and bringing it here? And Dr. Ranganathan, I can't understand why this is not being talked of in the terms of a communal incident. It's being called an accidental clash. So it'll go down in the books under Congress rule as an accidental clash.
No, absolutely. Somebody accidentally turned up and accidentally picked up a rock and started throwing it accidentally, as we've seen tens of thousands of times happening in Kashmir. It was all an accident. But Rahul, what are we going here? We are missing the woods for the trees. You've recently seen, and in fact, I was there on your panel when we talked about and debated about the brouhaha in Himachal Pradesh and Shimla, that mosque. Let me tell you, the process is irreversible. In Jammu and Kashmir, a Muslim majority country, I beg your pardon, Muslim majority state or union territory, in Jammu and Kashmir, you have one mosque for 1,300 Muslims. In Himachal Pradesh, you have one mosque for 300 Muslims. Do you know what's going to happen 30 years from now to Himachal? The process is irreversible. So let's, I don't know whether we have opened our eyes or our politicians have shut them. The process is irreversible all the world around. You can't change it.
No, but I mean, do we have a problem with mosques coming up in, I mean, no one should have a problem with a mosque coming up. I mean, I'm not understanding what you're trying to say, Dr. Ranganathan.
What I'm trying to say
is 1 second. Yeah.
Slowly when demography shifts,
I need to come in,
and
please.
it shifts in 2 ways.
Okay.
One, the Muslim population increases dramatically, and second, the Hindus are driven out, as they've happened in Valley, in Kairana, and so many other places. 2 things happen, and you've seen it all around, even Kashmir, where you have Sharia law being propagated by the chief minister saying that stoning should be a punishment. Or in Jharkhand, where hundreds of schools now have a holiday instead of Sunday or Friday. Things change. Attacks start happening against homosexuals. Slowly rules build up. And the whole structure, characteristic of a society, of how laws which should be promulgated change.
Okay, look, I mean, fundamentally, I have no problem in Muslims living in any particular area of this country, viewers. We don't have a problem as long as they conform to the law of the land. Here, viewers, that has not happened. And that raises questions, as I'm saying, that does one community have a veto over how the other celebrates its festivals or customs, etc.? Yes, very quickly, Sanju Verma, very quickly.
Yes. I just have, I think Mr. Ranganathan made a very important point. I want to add to that.
Okay.
We have about 100 to 110 crore Hindus, and we have only 6.5 lakh temples. We have about 18 to 20 crore Muslims, and we have 2 lakh mosques.
Yeah,
so look at the ratio of mosques per Muslim and the number of temples per Hindu in India. But the last point to is this. I think the biggest problem is when educated Muslims give intellectual cover fire to radical Islam. I think therein lies the problem, because educated Muslims
Well, here's the
are not
time
able
to speak up.
distinguish.
Here's the
Now,
time
please
to
allow
speak
me to
up.
answer.
Please, I'll leave it at this, Mr. Razak.
Rahul?
Look, yes, leave it at this, please. Let's just leave it at this. Let's not have more on this, because fundamentally, viewers, the only submission to be made here is that one community cannot have a veto of another community's beliefs. We leave it at this, viewers.